Hello there, friends, and welcome to Strangers in the Night, your source for late night VR gaming talk. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, is my good friend Ruuts. TGIF, brother, we did it. We're
Yeah,
here.
we
The
did
weekend
it.
is here.
Oh, we made it. We're here. And only thing that sucks about it is Eric's not here. But the good news is he's scrambling. Well, I guess that's not good news, but he's scrambling to get his house in order to sell. And super excited for him.
Yeah, I mean, it must be tedious having to pack up all of that technology in a way that it's not going to all be destroyed on the trek from New York to Florida.
Yeah. I know. I don't envy that situation. I hate moving. I mean, moving sucks in general. Cross country sucks. Well, I guess it's not cross country, right? New York to Florida's. Well, it is actually. That's pretty far down anyway. Not cross country, but down.
The only thing worse than moving is having to help someone move. I think it's even worse.
It is too, because it's like an obligatory thing, right? Like you feel like you're obligated to do it, and you want to do it, but you don't want to do it.
People drop heavy hints, and it gets quiet for a minute, and you're like, "Well, I guess I could." And they interrupt you like, "Oh, you're the best. Thank you so much. I'll buy you a case of beer. You come over and break your back for an entire weekend. We'll get you a case of beer and buy a pizza. You're the best."
Yeah, and then they don't show up, and you do it by yourself. No, actually, that better not happen. So,
or that you show up and do it, and then 2 years later, when you're moving, they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah, those are the best. They're like, what? Wait, what? Yeah, that sucks. So, well,
Hey, remember that time I injured myself moving your stupid fucking curio cabinet that you just ended up selling anyway?
Yeah. But
Anyway, how's August been treating you, brother? I know it's been warm, but it's been I gotta say, for me it's been nice because July, the schedule in July really dropped off for us. And we always play what we want to play. We always play games that we want to play, but normally it's like, okay, these games are out this week, which ones do we want to play? But lately it's been like, nothing's out this week, so which of the best games ever do we want to play? It's been pretty cool, right?
yeah, especially one of the games we're playing. I played the other one before, but the other one I had not played before, and it's actually getting pretty good. So I love good games. I like good gameplay. I like good story. I like I feel like I'm a National Treasure, the movie, almost. So.
It's good now. I can say that. We're doing Mod Week for the first time in a long time. We're doing Mod Week, and initially it was a bit of a nightmare because the first night that I finally found some time to play VR this week, it was very late at night, a time that I should have been sleeping instead of playing games. But I said, you know what? Friday's coming quick. I'm not going to have much time. I got stuff going on with my dad this weekend, so I need to get in and play some games. And the first night, just technical issues. Like I spent 2 hours troubleshooting and didn't play anything. And at the end of that, I thought, man, maybe I should just go back to PSVR.
And it's funny too, you say that, because I know which game you were doing that on, and I mean, I had my own issues as well. And I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that it's like a brand new game that just came out and like wasn't even supposed to be on this hardware, and like, you know what I mean, we're shocked, but this game is like so good on the PlayStation 5, like phenomenally good, and it made me to the point where I'm thinking, why I got the game right over there, why I'm not played through it. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's part of it. For me specifically, though, the issues I was having really wasn't with the game initially. It was with reshade. There was an issue, with reshade, and it got resolved during the week. But I was having problems just getting reshade installed correctly, which is odd because reshade's typically the easiest thing that you could do in terms of modding.
Yeah, Yeah, I kind of forgot a little bit about what I needed to do, but kind of remembered. And then you had said something in the Discord, and it was pretty much exactly what I had done. I just had my video card. My third fan's gone out now. I'm like, I'm getting ready to contact customer service, but like, what the fuck, man? EVGA get. I guess they're going out of business, but at least in the video card aspect. But I don't know. So that was
It's
my.
getting harder and harder. When you start delving into these mods, it's getting harder and harder to tell yourself, just wait for that 5 series. We don't need a 4 series card. We can wait on the 5 series. Because I was looking on Amazon yesterday. Yeah, I have a 3080. I don't have the Ti. I have a straight 3080, and it has 10 gigabytes of video RAM, which is less. It's less than my 1080 Ti had. And um, when it came out, they told us it's fine because it's a special kind of memory, DDR6X, which is faster,
Special.
and that
It's special,
yeah,
man.
and that means you don't need as much of it.
Mm.
But I'm here to call shenanigans. You do need that space. Just because it's faster doesn't mean that you don't need that cache. So I'm looking on Amazon, and they have 4070s in stock, no problem, easy to get. $600 for a 4070
Mm.
Ruuts, which is going to give me comparable performance in terms of the tensor cores and that
Mm.
sort of thing. But on top of that, it's got the newer technology with with the architecture that brings new features that can't do on my 3080, and it's got 12 gigabytes
Mm.
of GDDR6X. So I'm sitting here looking at that $500 haptic space over there real hard, thinking, do I really need that? I
Do
mean,
I
I
ever
could get rid
use
of
it?
that and unload something else, and I've got a brand new graphics card here, you know?
And your daughter would have the 3080, right? Aren't you
I think my son would probably
a son?
riot if I get if I gave my daughter my 3080 and he's still rocking that 1080. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. That's true. Um, yeah, yeah. That's definitely a problem. It's funny. I will see your 4070 and I will raise it, a 4070 Ti that I saw from Amazon that was 850 or 8 something, and they're saying that the 4070 Ti is more powerful, or like, I guess, or maybe even equal to the 3080 Ti, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
That's the way it normally goes. The next generation 70 is equal to the last generation's 80 or something like that. So
because I
that's
was looking.
typically how it goes. I haven't looked at benchmarks, so I'm not sure how they actually stack up this generation.
Hmm.
But I was surprised to see them at that affordable of a price, considering how expensive like the 4080 Ti's and 4090s are. Those are very pricey.
Well, Awesome Tatum says, yeah, just get the 4070 Ti. That's what I would do if I was, if I was going to get another one. Because I looked at it and I was thinking the same thing. Um,
Yeah,
but I,
that's my urge, right? That's my tendency. But again, though, in doing that, you'd get the instant gratification of it and get a little bit of a bump. Not it wouldn't be a huge bump for me. It'd be a little bit of a bump, and I get that VRAM. But then when 5 series comes around next year, now I don't have as much of an excuse to upgrade anymore, right? Because
right,
I just got one.
right. That's true. That is very true. Yeah, it's
Mickey
definitely
Barrios
oh,
says Zotac GeForce RTX 4080, 16 gigabytes of VRAM in that one, $1,000 flat.
yeah, that's crazy. That's a tempting 16 gigabytes, right? It's a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't think. See, my whole thing is that I don't know why it's happening, and I assume some of it has to do with drivers. But every time when I play mods, um, oftentimes I'm relegated to having to push back and go to my my Rift S because for whatever reason I don't have enough overhead to sufficiently push my G2, which is what I want. The display is so beautiful in my G2, and if I'm not using motion controllers, then it's just like the best. It's the best thing to run mods on. But I'm often having to go back and use my Rift S,
Mm.
and it's been crashing a lot. Not just on mods, but just in general. My Rift S is when it works, it's great, but oftentimes it crashes. And I mean, it's not like a normal crash where the game crashes and everything. The game keeps running. It's just my headset crashes,
Mm.
and then I have to wait 3 to 5 minutes for it to just reboot itself. I don't have to do anything, but just sit there and wait on it to come back. It's just annoying, right? And I'm just wondering if I had that 4070, would this be happening? You know?
Right. Yeah, that's a definitely legitimate question as far as the um you being able to use your G2, right? Because that's a reality. So you have issues, right? Sometimes they
Yeah.
just trying to push something such a good display. It's especially a newer game. It's just
And right
not
now,
bueno.
it's a minor annoyance because we're doing mods, once every 6 weeks or something like that. After the Unreal 3D injector comes out, I mean, we'll probably do a mod every week, I would imagine, right? Like, we'll have to. It's opening up the entire library of AAA flat games. We'd be dumb not to play them.
Right. Yeah. They're what we want to play anyway. So, and they're going to be
Right.
amazing. So,
Salvador with the $5 US donation says Uncharted VR is what Horizon Call of the Mountain should have been. Climbing and guns. Catch y'all on the replay. Thank you, Salvador, for the support and the comment. Yeah, did you ever? You didn't finish Horizon, did you?
no, I got about halfway. I'm sure I'll
You're gonna
finish it.
enjoy it more. You're gonna enjoy it more now after we play Uncharted and you have an idea because the later levels of Horizon Call of the Mountain are very Uncharted like. So I think you'll have a even more of an appreciation for them having played through Uncharted when
Okay.
you get to that point.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I certainly feel the sentiment, Salvador. I'd like a proper Uncharted VR game. Reminds you a little bit of what's the game that we always talk about on Oculus?
Edge of Nowhere.
Edge of Nowhere. It reminds you a little bit of that, doesn't it?
Yeah, as far as the movement and jumping and everything, except for it's even better because it's a lot more open in a lot of ways. I don't know the story. I don't know. I guess let me just go into that and let's go into the scene here. But yeah, I'll wait till we start talking about the game. But yeah, it's definitely reminds me of even reminds me of Call of the Mountain. So.
Yeah. Wolveraza says PCVR is kind of quirky, but should get better with Quest 3 and Deckard a lot, I think, in my opinion. Here's the thing, Wolveraza. I'm excited for new headsets as well, but when you're talking about a next gen PCVR headset, it's going to present similar issues that my G2 presents, and that being when you have extra pixels in the headset, those are extra pixels that the graphics card has to render. When you're running at 90 hertz plus, that's more that the headset or the graphics card has to render. So while there are certainly advances in the user experience, you got to have hardware to push that. And moving up isn't going to make the problems that we have better.
Mm.
They're actually going to get worse because of that. Um, so
Right.
yeah.
And Meta's some of their issues have been there from day one, right? Like just the weird issues, like whether it be USBs plugging in with the Rift S, it seems like there's always
Yeah.
something. And yeah, I would have to agree. And I don't think that that's necessarily going to solve it anyway, because there is so far. It just seems like I don't know. I
Yeah,
had
and
the
I've been hearing this lately too about how I think I saw a video this week that was titled something about how Valve could revive PCVR with their new headset, and I take issue with that sentiment because hardware really isn't the problem for PCVR right now. There's good PC hardware out there today, and having a better headset is not going to be what draws people in. There has to be games. If PCVR is going to have this revival, it's going to be because there are great games on PCVR, and the way Valve operates, they might bring a game. There might be one, but it's not like Sony and Meta, out there financing games plural. You know what I mean? And I don't ever see Valve really doing that. So it's going to take more than a new headset, I think, to bring PCVR to the forefront.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of things. I think the biggest thing we said recently is the biggest thing. It's going to take time. You know,
Yep.
it's like we want to jump from
It's gonna
Nintendo to
take.
PlayStation 5, and I'm talking OG NES. There was a couple phases in between, and yeah, we got to go through the work, but we're close, and we're getting closer. So
It's gonna take time, a whole lot of precious time. It's gonna take patience and time
and
to
money.
do it, to do it, to do it. It takes money to do it. You know who else takes money to do it, Roots?
My mom. Oh yeah, it does take a lot of money, and it takes. She does it right too. That's what I heard.
To
So
do it right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, let's say we have a lot to talk about tonight. We don't have a lot to talk about tonight. We have two games to talk about tonight, but it is getting late. So why don't we say hello to our friends in chat? What's up, Wolveraza? What's up, Chrome Colossus? Scion's here. Up late. What's up, Scion? Betty's here. Hey, Betty. Good to see you. Mark Pringlesleaf is here, as is John Tatum. Mickey Barrios. Hello, hello, hello. Hello again, Salvador. Mepper's here. What's up, Mepper? Let's see here. VR SpryGuy. What's up, SpryGuy? Yo, D. Good to see you. Assassin 32 VR. What's shaking, brother? Geison's here. What's up, Geison? Who else? Anybody else here that are currently speaking? Gabriel 004. The license to meow game cat is here. What's up, Gabriel? I always wonder how we're going to do with these episodes like this, Roots, because typically we have a lot of game cats show up for it because we're typically talking about PlayStation VR games, but we're not talking about PlayStation VR games. We're talking about PC VR mods tonight, which is something that the PlayStation gamers don't have access to. But on the other hand, we're talking about two Sony, games that were at one time exclusive to PlayStation. So I'm always curious how much this sort of subject matter appeals to those game cats. Are they uninterested because they can't experience it, or are they interested because this is the sort of game that we might start seeing from Sony in the next year to two?
I think it just depends. I think there's going to be some people out there that are like, you know what, this doesn't apply to me. I don't want to hear it. But I think most people, in general, would be interested in it just for what you just said. What is Sony going to bring? I want to know, like, why do we not have this as like the norm on the PlayStation with flat games anyway? Right? Just let me play the game.
Yeah.
Let it put it into a 3D screen. They could do it.
Yeah.
Right? So
easy. They can do it.
I think they're kind of missing the mark on not doing it. So
And it's weird because they used to do it. Like on PS3, there was when 3D TVs were out, that it was a common thing for their traditional games to have a 3D mode that you can switch them over to and play on your 3D television. But now that we actually have proper hardware, and we talk about how VR adoption's not there yet. It's way more than the 3D TV adoption. So like we're there in those terms, but we still haven't seen like the push for 3D gaming that we would expect from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Maybe they think it would take away from everything else. I don't know. It's just weird, right?
Yep, totally weird. What's up, Ryan B? What's up, JH? JH says, I want to talk to Samson. Samson was here for a moment. Samson 143 VR headed to bed, but will listen during my drive to New York City tomorrow.
Oh, there
Be
you
careful,
go.
Samson, and hopefully this keeps you well entertained all the way to the city.
Keep your head on a swivel if you're going into the city. Just a good idea.
True Prophecy 22 is excited to hear about Ratchet and Clank in 3D. That's good. Thank you for stopping by. Radio Runt.
Idaho.
William McKinney joining us. Hello, William McKinney. Thank you for joining us. And that, my friends, is as far north as we can travel, because we don't want to hit the ice wall routes. And if you go too far north, that's what happens, according to some people.
Oh, man, you hit the ice wall and you will be surrounded probably pretty quick, is what they say. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is, people that say that there's not anything weird going up there. I just want to know why the flight pattern is the way it is. You look at the way all the flights around the world go. It's like, let's go up here and turn around and go back. Don't go around the world.
It is weird. I was trying to book my flight to the last one, whichever one that was, AWE. And there were some cheaper flights that had connections to them. But, I'm in Kentucky, central US, flying to California, western US. All the flights that had connecting flights were like Atlanta, Orlando. Like they literally wanted me to fly hours in the wrong direction to connect to a flight to go to California. And that just don't make no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, I guess it makes sense from the airline's standpoint because that's what their flight thing is, but not for you. Usually they do it the other direction. I don't know.
Yeah. That's, who else does it the other direction?
My mom!
She does it every direction is what I heard.
That's right.
That's the rumor.
King Rollo, the James Cat sliding in at the end. What's up, King Rollo? Thanks for joining us.
Is it Phylos?
Philozix
says they just got the PSVR 2. So that's awesome.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
Yeah.
Just tried Call of the Mountain today, and it was pretty good so far. That game, it gets better as you go.
Mm-hmm.
So keep going, and I assure you, you're going to really enjoy it by the end.
Yeah. Super cool. And Zombieland. Amazing.
And Light Brigade, and the Walking Dead Saints Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution, but let's talk about exclusives, Ruuts. Let's talk about Resident Evil Village. Let's talk about Synapse, Switchback. There's some good stuff coming your way, Philozix. Congratulations.
Gran Turismo.
Welcome to the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, hit me up if you need some suggestions or if you just want to talk about your experience. I can talk about this stuff all day. Anyway, Ruuts, speaking of which, let's talk about this stuff all day. I didn't even ask you which game we're going to talk about first. So why don't you just tell me which game we're going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the newest one that just came out for the PC VR. The newest switch over game, I guess, or
that's good because that's where I would have started as well. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was a PS5. I want to call it a launch window title, although I'm not so sure if it was exactly around the launch window or a little bit later when it came out, but this is one of the original PlayStation 5 exclusives. It was one of Sony's um, exhibition pieces for what the PS5 system was capable of. Ruuts, at the time that this game came out, it was the only it was only playable on PS5. And I don't just mean that because it hadn't come to PC yet, but the technology on PC was not advanced enough yet to run this game smoothly. And even now, it doesn't quite run the same as it runs on PS5, but it's close enough, right?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is close enough. The PS5 it runs, it's just so smooth, but it definitely is. I'd be interested in how it would feel flat versus, because this is a very intensive game, and this is a game you had trouble, like you said, running on your G2, right? And that's funny because in our Discord channel or chat, I was telling Wes, because he said he was played it with the Rift S, and I was like, man, I'm done with my Rift S, sick of it. It doesn't, never run. I have issues with it all the time, but I went to run this game with my Pro, and it was like, nah, man, it's just not gonna happen, dude. I mean, it was running, but it was just really weird, just off, right? And so I ended up switching to the Rift S, and after I was able to get it to run, it ran better, but it didn't look as good, obviously. But like you said, it's just not as I didn't feel like it ran as good as it did on the PS5. But I'm thinking, is it because of how much strain it is to run this game? I don't know.
It's well, I mean, in terms of like graphics and stuff, for the most part, it's comparable. Where the difference is in terms of the way it runs is in the rift jumping, the hopping between dimensions. It's instantaneous on PS5, where sometimes on the PC it can get hung up, and a lot of it's going to depend on the type of storage that you're using. A lot of it depends on the type of graphics card that you're using. Nvidia has implemented some technology to kind of mimic what the PS5 does with the way that it unloads assets into the video memory or out of the video memory. So it runs well enough. But what you're saying is true as far as it being a very resource hungry game. Um, I tried to run it on my G2, and I mean I really tried to run it on my G2 because my thinking was, even if I have to turn the resolution way down on my G2, just the higher resolution of the panel itself is going to make it look better. So even though the render resolution is the same or lower than it would be on Rift S, it's still going to look better because there won't be any screen door effect because of the screens being so high resolution. The problem was is it wouldn't run smoothly no matter what I did. I turned my G2 resolution in Steam VR down to 50%, and in the Ratchet and Clank game settings, I turned that down from high preset to medium preset. I turned the resolution down to 1080p, and it still was just choppy like a slideshow. And when I switched to Rift S, not only could I run it on high settings, run it at 100%, but I could also run it at 1440p pretty smoothly. The only problem being what I mentioned earlier, that I'll play for 10 minutes and then my headset stops. I have to wait 3 to 5 minutes for it to reboot. Then I can play for 10 more minutes and then it stops. With that said, toward the end, I went from 1440p down to 1080p. That made it so that those crashes were a little less frequent. And at that point, I started having a lot more fun.
Yeah, well, it definitely was fun. But my biggest takeaway from playing this game in the headset with the flat um reshade mod, I just want to play this in the actual Unreal Engine mod or something, an actual VR mod. I want to be in the game,
Yeah,
because like I said the same thing about Spider-Man. I love 3D, even Returnal. It's not the same as being in the world. And once you're in the world, everything changes, Like, I don't know. I definitely really did enjoy it. I had a lot of fun, but
I
with as
agree.
much of a hassle as it took me to get into it and get everything dialed up, I'd rather just play it on PlayStation 5 flat. And then when the mod comes out and I can play in the game, you know what I mean? Like, it just took way too much to dial this shit in. And,
I'll agree with that. And it certainly was atypical. Normally, reshade is the easiest thing to implement, and it took a little bit of work this time. But where I disagree with you at is now that I have it dialed in, I would never go back and play this flat. Like I really, I had a good time in this game after I got it dialed in. Um, I have to, I played it flat before I started playing it in VR. I played through the opening thing flat, and I had the same thing here that I always have now when I try to play on a flat panel. Even though I've got a 42-inch 4K screen, literally 3 feet away from my face, I can't see flat games anymore. It's just it's the field of view is so much smaller, and I'm so used to being in the world with my whole field of view taken up that when I try to play flat games, I always feel like I can't see everything, and it just annoys me the whole time. So now that I've got it dialed in and I can put my headset on and just play, I will never go back to playing this flat. There's no way. It's so much better in 3D, and it looks great even on the Rift S. Even with the little bit of screen door effect that Rift S brings, the game really looks good inside the headset now that that we've got it working.
yeah, yeah, it definitely looked really good. It's fun. I just, I don't know. Like I said, that yeah, I guess I just want the next step for this game,
Oh
for
yeah,
games. And
I wholeheartedly agree with that because um, while playing in Reshade's great, um, and it does help, help me see versus flat what I see on a regular flat screen. Having my entire field of view covered by a 3D screen helps with that. Um, where where it does fall short a little bit is with like HUD items, things that are on your screen that you need to look at, like your health, like your ammo, stuff like this. More difficult to track when you're playing a reshade game, or at least it feels that way to me.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely harder. Although I don't have a problem. Maybe because I play so many flat games still. Like, as far as what you were saying, I just get zoned in, just like anybody watching TV. Like, I've used the example of, you're watching something and somebody comes in the room and you just don't even see anybody come in because you're so tuned into what's going on in the TV.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't do that. I can't get immersed in a game like that anymore. Not on a with no depth and in a window that's sitting in front. I just can't. Not anymore.
Yeah, that sucks because I enjoy it. But I think this game. Do you think what engine was this made in? I guess it wasn't Unreal Engine, right? It's probably
No,
its
it's
own.
not. It's a right. It's a custom engine from Insomniac Games, and I think therein lies the hope. While we'll probably never see a full VR mod for this game, I do think that it's very possible that we will one day see a Ratchet and Clank full fledged VR game because Insomniac Games has such a rich history of developing VR games, developing great VR games. So I do think that this is something, or this franchise at least, is something that we will one day see in a VR game.
Yeah, this game was amazing, or is amazing. Just everything about it. It's just so unique.
Oh, it's a great game. I so underestimated this franchise for years. Like I never played the early Ratchet and Clank games, but Ratchet and Clank is a franchise that's been around since the days of PS2. There's like 10 different titles. or maybe 8. There's a lot of titles in this franchise, but the first one I ever played was the reboot that they launched with PS4. So the last generation Ratchet and Clank game was the first one that I played. I played on it, or I played it um, kind of before I got into VR, and really enjoyed it a lot. I played all the way through it, Roots, and finished it. Um, so I really enjoyed it. But when this game came out for PS5, even though I bought it and I owned it, I bought it for my children. Um, I didn't play it because I had a feeling that the day was going to come that I was going to have the opportunity to play this inside a headset, and I was right. So this is my first time playing this version, and it really is a next gen game, isn't it?
Yeah, everything about it's next gen, and I don't know. Did you? I didn't even think about this till I was done after I'd already played some. Did you play it with the PlayStation 5 controller tethered? I don't know if this game has.
Yeah.
So it had adaptive triggers and everything.
Yeah, it's fully supported. And it's just
Yeah,
like playing it on PS5.
yeah, that's the way to play it because that's one of the things that makes this game so special is the adaptive triggers and just everything about it. So
How great is it that we can experience that on PC? That when the PlayStation brings their games over, they're not giving us a watered down, less than version on Steam, but you're actually getting the full package as long as you've got your DualSense controller.
you know who wants else loves having the full package, Wes?
My
I do,
mom!
Oh man, if you
but
knew.
no, but I'm very impressed with this game, Roots. It's such a great franchise because it's a familiar structure. Like in terms of the base gameplay of the game, it's a run and gun third person shooter. Like we've seen 100 of these games. High on Life is the very same type of game as that this is, but they do it in such a way that everyone can enjoy it. Kids can pick this game up and enjoy it. Even the oldest seasoned gamer can enjoy a game like this because what it's doing on a technical level is so impressive with all the different um, assets on the screen at one time. Like it's crazy just how many things that they've got going on in these scenes. So many moving parts, and the thing never slows down. Right? It just keeps on going. And I mean the particles. I mean you could see it here. It's just this world that they've built is just so rich and full. Um, you can tell that this came from a team of expert developers and had a lot of money behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just see the skill tree and just all the different things you can
Yeah.
do. I mean, it's so deep, and the colors in this was when I was in the beginning, even though it was a semi slideshow in the Quest Pro, it just was so beautiful. And then I thought, man, I'm going to go to the Rift S and it's going to look like crap. And then I went there and I went, wow, this Rift S actually, I forgot how good
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's a dull, crappy display either. It still looked
No,
really
it's
good as
good.
well.
No, it's good. The only real trade off with it is that you can see the pixels a little bit, but it's not terrible. And again, like you can kind of brute force your way through some of that by cranking the resolution up in game. And you're right, the colors are just phenomenal. It's like playing. It's like Pixar made a shooter game, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun, it just feels good. So I
Yeah,
would recommend it to anybody I know. That Mark Pringlesleaf says he platinumed Rift Apart. Such an awesome game.
it's really
So,
good. So far, I haven't played through it or anywhere near that. I played, the first couple of levels. See, that's a great thing, and this is true of both of these titles being Sony titles. Like, it's like you play 2 hours in this game, and then that's when the title screen comes. Like, it's like there's so much game here that the intro takes hours to get through.
right.
Both of these titles, it's awesome.
And it's like you said, it's AAA level. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
These are the type of games that are so good in terms of single player story driven experiences, what Sony is known for. Um, these are the type of games like when we were kids. Um, your friends would sit around and watching you play, and they would be half into it and half bored, just sitting there waiting on their turn,
Right.
right? But adults would just get pissed off because they couldn't watch whatever's on the TV at the time. These games are so good that people can have a blast just watching you play because the story and the production is at such a high level. Like watching these games is better than watching like 80% of what's on TV right now, right?
Right. Yeah, because the story is actually deep. There's actually thought put behind it. And that's nothing like a good story to pull you through a game. And this one has one. The next game has one. And then you put actual game mechanics in the game. It's amazing. And that's the thing that most of these VR titles are missing, this kind of depth across the board. But it's the money, right? The funding behind it. And so we're gonna get there. And until then, we're gonna be having these mods. But hopefully, I'm hoping Luke Ross does a mod for this. That would be amazing, or somebody, an actual mod that to bring me into the actual game. That's what I want to do. If they're gonna get me to play this game and not be at flat, because I'm still playing it flat. I'm just now in VR. Now I've got a headset on that's not as comfortable as not having a headset on. That's my mindset. You know what I mean? So if you're going to make me put the headset on, I want the full package. I want the whole enchilada. Who else wants the old enchilada, Wes? So I don't know.
Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, gaming definitely the medium of the future. It's hard to it's easy for us to sit here and say, well, movies and television just can't live up to these games like Sony are putting out. But at the same time, it's really an unfair comparison because these games have so many multiple millions of dollars that are poured into them, and when you're comparing it against like a television show or a movie that takes 1 to 3 hours to watch, this is a 20 to 30 hour story. You know what I mean? An epic odyssey adventure that you're going on.
I guess it would be, it'd be more of a like a series or a mini series type of thing, right? Like if you put this up, say, okay, this game would be equivalent of like the series Walking Dead, from beginning to end, or Game of Thrones, or whatever. Because I mean, you got so many hours invested, right? So
yeah, exactly. It's like watching a whole series. Only you're invested for multiple reasons. One, you're in the world. If you're playing it in the VR headset, you're immersed in the world. And two, you're actively participating. It's not just that you're watching. I mean, it's entertaining enough just to watch, but you're fighting, you're clawing, you're trying and failing and practicing and getting better and then accomplishing things. And it's so much more immersive, this medium versus just sitting back and watching something happen in front of your face.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's really good. For me, it was worth the trouble. Again, a lot of my problems were with reshade. After I got reshade working, it took me probably 45 minutes to an hour to dial in to the settings to get everything where it runs well. But now that it's done, it's done. So now I can just pick up and run the game. After you get reshade hooked into a game and get your settings dialed in, you don't have to touch it again. You just run the game, put your headset on, and it works.
Yeah. Now, my thing is if I'm relying on my Rift S as said headset, that doesn't apply. It doesn't just work. Like I literally have to I have to make sure I plug it in. I got to restart my computer with everything hooked up, or my headset wants to. It just connects, disconnects, and I don't know why. It just but I've found that if I restart the computer with it and it starts with it hooked up, it's like, oh, hey, I know what this is. Um, it's just very
I
annoying.
always do that anyway. I always do that anyway. Whenever I play a VR game or anything, I always restart my computer before I even bother with it because even if you don't see it, so many things accumulate in your background and in your system resources without you even seeing it, that getting that fresh
A
slate,
freshie.
um, yeah, you need a freshie.
And if
And,
you,
and, you know, it takes less than a minute to reboot, so I just do it.
that's true. Well, and what people don't know, well, maybe some people know about Wes, is he literally like kills all processes, right? And you like actually kill shit before like it's very diligent. It's very well thought out, and I used to think maybe that it was excessive, but I don't think it is because I think you're right. I think there's so much shit going on in the background you don't know, especially for me. I'm really bad at because I have so much RAM. I'll just open up like 5,000 tabs and I'll be like, why is there? And I'll, oh shit, I got like 30 tabs open. Just close them up. Everything's good. So,
Yeah, yeah, stuff eats up a lot of system resources, and yeah. Although I am, now that I'm working and my job is on my computer, I'm finding more and more. I've got 50 tabs open, just like you, because I've got my work stuff over here, I've got my entertainment stuff over here, and then I've got wife, her stuff's over there. So yeah, more and more I'm using up all of my 32 gigabytes of DDR4 3600.
yeah. Well, we need to quadruple it, I think. Maybe not, but
Did you run frame counter on this to see what it was running at for you?
I did not actually. My thing is like I just figured as long as it looked good, it didn't really matter. This is not like
Yeah.
traditional VR. I mean, unless it gets really really janky, then it can make you sick. But
Yeah, that's the same here. It's just like either it's smooth or it's not smooth. And by the time I got it dialed in, it was smooth. So
I just
that's really
figure
all
I'm
that
looking at a
matters.
screen, like I can just because I've actually watched video game footage where I've thought, something's weird. I can't put, on a flat screen, it makes you kind of feel weird because the frames are like uneven or off. But yeah, I didn't notice any. It was good.
Well, Raza says if all worked better, things would be different. PC VR player base is growing daily. Buying Quest and PC VR together a lot now, just off bat, plus all graduates. Quest brings PCVR back. See, that's right and not right at the same time. Like more and more every day, you're seeing more PCVR players are playing on Quest, but the overall number of PCVR players is not growing. Like it's been pretty flat for a couple of years now. Actually, now I will say that that number would probably be diminishing rather than kind of holding steady if it weren't for Quest. I mean that probably is what the statistics point to, with more and more players being Quest players. Some of that's PCVR players upgrading from their Gen 1 headsets to a Quest, and some of that is inevitably going to be new players. But again, hardware is just a small part of the issue with PCVR. People didn't leave PCVR because the hardware wasn't good enough. They left it because Oculus quit funding, big budget exclusives for it, and hopefully that changes one day. But that's kind of where the mods come in, right? And we're hopeful that this 3D injector is such a game changer that that's kind of going to be what drives PCVR over the next generation, is going to be modding.
Yeah, I think if there's enough amazing mods out there, and it just becomes well known that there's this amazing game in VR and this amazing game, and I mean,
It, just,
eventually developers are going to have to take notice, right? So,
it's going to count on two things, right? It isn't going to be that you can play all these games in VR. That they have to run well
right.
on, people have to be able to get in there and have a good experience, and it has to be easy. People don't want to get in and troubleshoot. Like they're not all enthusiasts like we are and willing to put the work in to get it to run right. It needs to be plug and play. Like people need to be able to, buy their flat game, run the injector, and play the game in VR. Period. And if it's much more complicated than that, then people are just going to nope out of it.
Yeah, and that's probably why they're taking so long, right? To make
Yep.
sure it's coming out the way it needs to come out because it's so important to them. So
Yeah. It's actually, yeah, that's a big part of the reason why it's taking so long. It's actually, it's an impressive piece of software with what they're doing with it. Um, Versatile, and it's got a very large library of games that it supports.
right,
And
some of them are the best
yeah,
games. Like I would say, It Takes Two is arguably the best co-op game I've ever
yeah,
played, ever. And you're gonna be able to play that in VR with your friend that is either playing flat or in VR. That is amazing to me. So
yeah. Anyways, this game is $60 on Steam right now, although I was able to find it on a third party site for something like 43 or $44. Thank you to those of you who leave super chats. Thank you to our patrons. You are the ones that make it possible for us to pick up these games. We wouldn't be covering, uh, modding $60 games like we do if it weren't for your support. So thank you everyone who supports us. Um, so yeah, for 40 to 45 bucks, you can find this game for if you put the effort in. And Reshade is free and easy to install. And now that I've done the legwork as far as finding the settings you've got to run on, anyone that's interested in doing this, all you have to do is tag me up on Discord, and I can give you some instruction that will save you an hour or two.
with a $5
And
fee. No, just kidding. Can you imagine? Like what a douchebag. $5? No. Yeah. That's how
I could
cool.
probably I could probably start a pretty good Patreon just based around mod optimization and giving people the cheat code right up front so they don't have to do the troubleshooting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing that. A little bit more reputable
It-
than OnlyFans. I'm just saying.
a little bit,
A little bit.
but who doesn't love OnlyFans?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I do recommend if you've it's difficult. If you've got a system that uh, is capable of running this game and having a little overhead on top of that. And if you've got a mid to last gen headset you can run on it, it's pretty bad that we can't recommend it for next gen headsets, but it is what it is.
I don't know if
Um,
it's for me anyway. I think maybe, of course, the G2 has this as well, but Airlink, or not Airlink, but Link versus DisplayPort, one's just more stable.
yeah, I think I'd like to have an official link cable to see if that makes a difference. Like that fiber optic cable may make the link work better for me. That's something that I haven't tried in a long time. Like I haven't even tried to use Link and play PCVR on my Quest in forever because the thing's just not that comfortable on me. And introducing Link into the equation
Hmm.
just gives me a whole other set of crap that I have to worry about
Troubleshoot.
fine tuning. Yeah.
I would try the
So I
cord.
haven't used it.
The cable works really well for me. I've had the official one. I mean, aside from, when I'm trying to do a mod or something, it works really well. So I've never had the issues that other people have with cables that are generic, but I don't know much about the cables or anything like that. I mean, you know what I mean? As far as I know, they could be just as good. I don't know. So,
Well, the one I have, it works, and it's the one that Oculus recommended specifically when the Quest came out. Like this is the one to buy if you're not getting ours. But the technology is different.
mm,
the meta cable is fiber optic, and this is not. It's a standard USB C cable.
Okay.
Um, so I think the official might make a. It has more bandwidth available, so that could definitely affect things.
I would think so, because I literally I have to put this thing on the whatever this adapter that's on my thing to plug it into to be able to plug it in. And I guess you have to have it like a certain way. If I turn it one way, the thing one way, it doesn't have the right amount of bandwidth, and the other way
Oh,
does
that's
for
weird.
whatever reason. I don't know
That
why,
is
but
weird.
yeah. But it's an adapter that
Lars.
it's an adapter
Lars.
that allows me to charge up the headset while you're playing as well. So
Oh, that's cool. Lars Gritness is joining us from Norway. It says 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Thank you for joining us and enjoying your cartoons as you watch us talk about VR. I
yeah,
guess it is kind of like with Saturday morning cartoons when you look at this game, right?
that's true. Absolutely, I miss Saturday morning cartoons. I know you can still watch
Yeah,
them, but it's not the same. Cartoon
it's
Network, rest
true.
in peace. By the way, did you see that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason I didn't see why. I just saw that there was like a timeline from when it started to now when it's ended. So
That sucks. RIP Cartoon Network.
yeah,
Anyway, this is an amazing game. I do recommend it. And if you need help getting it set up in VR, just tag me up on Discord. Invitation is in the description below, and we will get you lined out. Anyway, moving right along, Roots. We talk about how easy reshade is to get installed. You know what's even easier than installing reshade? Installing Real VR Mod from Luke Ross. And this past week, the subscribers to the Luke Ross Patreon got an update to 10.1. Real VR Mod 10.1 released. Of course, this release introduces AER 2.0 for all previous titles covered, but also adds 2 new titles to the catalog, or was it 2? It's just 1 this time.
I think it's one.
1, but actually 2, because the 1 is a collection of 2 titles, and that is Uncharted, the Legacy of Thieves. Is that what it's called?
Uh,
Legacy of Thieves
yep,
collection?
Thieves Collection. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is another classic, renowned franchise from Sony that was brought into Steam over the course of the last 6 months or so, maybe a year. Um, Surprisingly, Roots, to not much fanfare. Like this is one of the biggest titles or the biggest franchises on PlayStation, but it didn't really make much noise when it came to PC. Like it's almost like people didn't know it. It was weird.
That is weird. It looked like it's got a lot of very positive reviews, right?
Well, it's a great game. Well, I mean, I can say that Uncharted 4 is a great game. I still haven't played the follow up game, the one that puts you in the shoes of a new character. Like
Mm.
the follow up game is like you play as some female. It's like some person I'm not. It was an ancillary character from the Uncharted 4 that you're playing as, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Um,
Is
but I
she
never
hot?
played that one.
Oh,
Kind
you don't
of.
know. Oh, you kind of. Okay, you do know.
Um, but by the time that game came out, I was a full fledged VR player, so I didn't bother with playing it. But I did play through Uncharted 4 all the way, completely flat, when it came out on PS4. So when this came to Steam, I got excited because I knew it was only a matter of time before someone modded this in the VR. And wouldn't you know it, this past week, Luke Ross did just that. And really quickly, Roots, before we recognize, well, I mean, let's stop and recognize Ray Pope dropping the $20 Australian super chat, no message, just some love and
Boom.
support. Thank you, Ray. You're awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Firewall 0 hour.
Yeah. So thanks, Ray. I appreciate it. But I always appreciate just how simple it is to mod these games with the Luke Ross mod. You know, for people who are uninitiated, people who are maybe console gamers or Quest gamers, and they hear this phrase, you know, modding VR games. Um, I'm sure that there's a good number of them that misunderstand and think that you need more technical know-how to do this than you actually need. Modding ain't what it used to be, ladies and gentlemen. You're not like going in and actually changing the code of the game anymore. Literally, Luke Ross mod Ruuts is a copy and paste solution, and it's super simple, right?
Yeah, yeah. You literally just open the game up, run it for a second, then extract it into a specific folder, run a file, and that's it. You're done. I mean, it's even more simple than it was in the past, right? There used to be a lot more uh, things you had to do to get his mods to work in the beginning. And of course, you know, once you want, as far as tweaking things a little bit, you can learn that as you're going. But it absolutely is easy to install, and then you're in the game and you're good to go. And
There's
I
four
know this.
files.
What's that?
There's four files. You copy four files and you paste it into the game's folder. And then you run a program called Real Config. It's right there on the screen. You double click it, and it does everything for you.
Yep. I don't
And
even say I don't
then
even copy and paste it. I don't. I instead when I go to I download it. I just extract it straight into that folder. It just
I don't even I don't even extract it. Like I just
well, you
click
can
on it,
double
open
click
it,
on it,
copy
and
and paste.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just find it easier to just to right click and then it's and say extract, and then it's where do you want to extract it? I just go to that folder and then it just puts everything. I guess there's different ways to do it because I used to do the copy and paste. But either way, like you said, it's one file, and I couldn't. I know this is Mash's like all time favorite, one of his favorite games of all time, right? And he was dreaming of this game coming to VR, and I just didn't quite know. I don't know, man. Uncharted, Tomb Raider. Like I played Tomb Raider. Like, dude, this game, the story gripped me so
Yeah.
quick. You know, you start as the kid. I guess you start there, and then you go into this orphanage as a kid. You got to break your way out. You meet your brother. There's a lot like a really cool bonding. I felt I felt like uncool in a sense, Wes, as I'm jumping from the building. I'm like trying to make these jumps my big bro is doing, and I'm barely making it. But you know what was cool? Sam never made me feel bad, man. He was always there, like he always lifted me up. I really did feel in the story like you could feel the bonding. You know what I mean? It's like it's just starting, and there's like a specialness to this story. And
Yeah.
the parkour in this game was amazing. And I just really, what I've played so far, I really have enjoyed it. And
Yeah. Yeah. You can see right off the top why so many people want to see the series come to VR. Um, Not only is the story like second to none, like the production is amazing. It's like watching a Hollywood feature. Um, but the gameplay and the world is so immense in terms of scope. It's almost like it was made for VR to begin with, right? Like this is
mm,
a game that feels like it was meant to be played in VR.
absolutely. And you know what's funny is like I would say the exact same thing about that I said about Ratchet and Clank. If we had played this in reshade on a screen, I would rather play it flat. I can't. I what you said about I couldn't play this flat now. Same thing about I've tried playing Hogwarts Legacy flat. It's just not the same. Like there, once you're in there, I don't care if it's third person, whatever. There's a difference of looking around the environments and checking things out and seeing everything instead of it's just different. And
Yeah, it is definitely different. in this game you can see it. You can see the difference because the cutscenes go to 2D, like flat screen, and then when they're over with, it kind of just morphs you into the 3D world again, and you can see right there, back to back, what a difference the mod is making in the experience of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think this very amazing game, so amazing. Wes and I are going to keep playing it and come back and actually
Yeah.
talk about the actual game. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so this is something that we've talked about doing with other titles. We've never quite pulled the trigger on it, but this time, this game is so special, um, and so good in VR that we're going to do something that we've never done before, and we're going to cover it 2 weeks in a row. So we're here today to basically talk about the implementation of the mod and how it feels to play it, and we're going to come back next week and actually talk about the game because I got in here playing this thing, and like I was talking about a moment ago, you play for 2 hours and then the opening credits roll. you know and then it dawned on me, and I got thinking, man, what a shame is it going to be, because I'm thinking back. I've already finished this game years ago, and I'm thinking back at all of the different amazing levels and the different chapters of the story and what lies ahead. And I'm thinking, man, what a shame is it's going to be that we're going to now move on to the next game, and Roots isn't going to get to experience any of that. And then I thought, nah, man, we need to play this game. We need to take this week and play this game, and then we'll come back next Friday and talk about the game itself and not just the mod.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I do really feel like I did feel like a national treasure vibe, like as I was uh, in prison and then seeking the through the. I just thought it was cool. I really think this game is not something to sit on, especially if you have a chance to play it in VR.
You're about to go on a journey, my friend. This story is epic. Um, I know you're kind of into pirate stuff. The story revolves heavily around like true to life pirates, and yeah, you're gonna dig it. I know it already, and the set pieces in this game and the gameplay. I mean, it's really it's a great. It's one of the best games ever, and I think by the time we come back here next week, you're going to have a renewed appreciation and excitement for the possibilities that the next gen have in store for us once you fully kind of come to grips on what it would mean for these Sony studios to make a full fledged VR adventure for us. And I do think these games are coming. But in the meantime, we've got this Luke Ross mod, and I didn't know, coming in, whether this is going to be one of the good Luke Ross mods or one of the, so Luke Ross mods. Because sometimes you get in here and the visuals are really dirty and the movement doesn't feel so good, and it kind of turns your stomach a little bit. And, I watched a video or two of this on the day that it launched, and it was very much the mixed reaction to it. It sounded like maybe this wasn't going to be one of the better ones.
Mm.
And I got to say, man, I didn't even have to tweak this at all. Like, I went into this game, I cranked it up to 100, and I played it on my G2 Roots. I played it on my G2, and it just worked perfectly. Um, the way the Luke Ross mod works is you want to keep it um, running at 60 frames. If you dip below 60, you start to notice some frame drops and things. But if you're getting the game to run at 60, the mod itself does a good job of extrapolating that into a 90 to 120 hertz VR experience seamlessly. And this game does a good job of it. It runs out of the box. It runs at 70 to 80 frames per second on my G2 with my current system. And you can actually bump that up by using um, rendering software solutions like DLSS and FSR2. It supports both of those. But I don't know about you, Roots. I tried those, and while it did give me a bit of a bump in frame rate, um, I felt like the downgrade in visuals wasn't worth the upgrade in frame rate.
Hmm.
The frame rate was smooth enough to begin with, but the artificial frames that were generated weren't as clear in terms of resolution as the just native frames that were being generated by the graphics card. So I played around in DLSS and FSR for a little while, and then I just ended up turning it off because the game looks better um, natively and it runs well enough to begin with.
I didn't notice that, but I went straight to DLSS, or I think it might have even defaulted on, and I never messed with it because, like you said, it worked out of the box, and I just said, "Man, this looks." I was playing it on my Pro as well. This was one that worked well. Although I did set it. I don't know if did I set it. I don't know if I changed it before. I have it set now to 80. Because I was trying. That's one of the good things about the Pro is you can dial in the FPS. So the hertz.
So I recommend if you are someone who needs to use these technologies to get a smooth frame rate running this game, I recommend FSR two. That was
Isn't
the
that
best
weird?
result that I got.
Because that seems to be a theme, right? You've said that
Yeah.
a couple times. Like why
hmm
would something for AMD work better for some than DLSS, which was made for NVIDIA? You know what I mean? That's so bizarre that it's that way, but yeah, it is what it
Well,
is.
DLSS was made by NVIDIA for NVIDIA. FSR was made by AMD for everything. It
Oh,
wasn't just made for
okay.
AMD.
Well, there you go.
So,
Fuck you, NVIDIA, jerks.
but no, I would recommend using FSR2 and put it on quality mode, but don't like turn it up real high. So you have a 0 to 100 scale. Keep it less than 50. Keep it around 30 or 40, and you'll get a little bit of a bump in frame rate, and you won't get as much of the artifact. The problem is, well, the biggest problem with using either one of these, and especially DLSS, is when you're using an alternate eye rendering method of um, generating a VR world. Using these types of upscaling technologies will put a halo around the character.
Mm.
And I know you noticed this, Roots, because we've talked about it in other games. Um, you'll see this halo effect around the character using DLSS and FSR, but especially DLSS amplifies that and makes it way more noticeable. Now, there are other artifacts that it creates as well, but that halo effect gets really, really noticeable, especially when you're using DLSS. So, again, I recommend if you've got a system that's on, 3080 like I'm running, that you just turn it off because it looks to me it looks better having it turned off, and it stayed pretty solid around 70 frames,
Some
which is
bitch this
more
whole
than enough.
time, Wes. I've
Yeah.
been doing it wrong, man. I'm gonna try that. I think that might work. Um, I guess John Savino says slowly getting tired of video games. How do I get the mojo back? I guess it's because I'm a geezer. Somebody said tired of VR as well. This is the thing, man, and I don't know if maybe John or as you only play VR games because I hit that wall as well a while back, and it's not and it wasn't the VR, it was the shallowness of a lot of the VR games. And if you're only playing certain types of games, I can see you getting burnt out. There's so much depth in a lot of these other games, and if it's not, if it's just across the board, then I mean, it's possible that maybe some people just kind of grow out of it. I guess I don't know. I enjoy good games, VR or flat. Prefer it to be in VR, but I'll take flat if it's not. So
Yeah, I was, how do you get your mojo back? It's hard to it's hard to diagnose without knowing the details of your personal life. Sometimes, um, for example, if you're someone who's super focused on like the news and things like that, that can really depress you. It's hard to disconnect from that by any means. And video games, in comparison, can seem like something silly to put your attention and energy into. So if you're that type of person, I'd say turn the TV off, and you'll find that you start feeling better within a week or two. Um, but if what Roots is saying, and you've just been the game seems shallow and repetitive to you, I would suggest trying something like this. Try playing a blockbuster game in VR.
Mm.
Um, a game that wasn't made for VR but runs well and beautiful in VR, because I I find it hard to believe that someone could get in and play this experience and lose interest in it. Like it's so compelling, the story, the world. I mean, did you stop when you were on this roof just to kind of look at the city around you, Roots?
Yeah, I did actually. I was checking it out, and it's crazy. Like you said, the scale, the scope of the world, the detail, to attention to detail on everything. It's AAA level, right? It doesn't normally exist in VR mostly, and so like that's what one of the reasons why it makes it so special, and we know it's coming. My only problem is like, uh, okay, we get a built from the ground up game in VR, new Uncharted game. Everybody, or a good portion of people, are going to want to be first person. They want, okay, now I gotta
Yeah.
climb the stuff. And eh, to be fair, I guess if you made Uncharted like 5 and it was like Call the Mountain somewhat, as far as the way that they climb, and I mean, but it was, everything else was still like this, you can make it really good. I, I don't see that a lot of these games do make it really good. Like, they may get the
You
mechanics
don't
of the
have to.
climbing
The
good.
the the point is that it doesn't have to be first person, and this is a great example of that, because there are so many um, examples in this game, and it gets even more intense as you go on, of where you're making these jumps across these big wide gaps where if you miss, you're going to fall thousands of feet to your death. And even though you're not in the body of the main character, you absolutely feel the height in this game, right? Like even what we've experienced thus far in the early parts of the game, when you're jumping over these gaps and you look down, it'll get you in the knees a little bit, won't it?
Absolutely. And I thought my brother was going to drop me. That last jump we just made, it's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, man, like, you made that jump, you probably never do that again, because like that was special jump. You just made it. That was a crazy jump. Yeah, the
You know
parkour
what?
in this is amazing. The only thing that I
You
think
know
would
what
make,
else?
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
I was
ahead. Go
just
ahead.
gonna
I'm
say, the
sorry.
only thing that would make the parkour better, from in my opinion, is if they, and this didn't exist until Dying Light, but I thought when Dying Light made the bumper, R1 bumper for climbing, it was like, it was next level. It's just, it feels really good once you get used to it. But obviously this is a different schematic. So
Yeah. You know what I love about this game, Roots, is unlike a lot of games, especially VR games this day, when you miss a jump and you fall to your death, it'll stop mid fall and you'll start over. This game lets you fall to the ground and you watch the character fucking die right in front of you, and then like the brothers crying no,
I know.
and
And
then it's like it's heart wrenching, isn't
is
it?
is it bad that, like, there was a point where like I was trying to jump or do something, and I was like, I couldn't figure out exactly what to do. And so I was like, and my brother was just standing there. And I was like, motherfucker, like, okay, I'm falling. And who's gonna see what? And then he was like, no. I was like, you did it. It was his fault, Wes. But yeah, yeah, it's very it's crazy because he does. I mean, you think about that in a lot of games. It's like, wouldn't he cry out? Like, of course he cries out. It's logic. It makes sense. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Speaking of Dying Light, I almost bought Dying Light 2 the other day, Roots, because unlike at launch, the game is now supported in reshade. So
Really?
if we wanted to play Dying Light 2 in reshade, you can play it now. And it looks really good. And it was on sale for like $26 or something.
I would be surprised
And
if that game doesn't come to VR or somebody doesn't mod that into VR as well. You know?
yeah, it's a difficult thing because it too is built on a custom engine. It's
Mm,
not Unreal or Unity. But the original game had a VR mode kind of developed for it. And so that these devs could do it if they wanted to. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody will ever mod it in. I know it's playable on Reshade right now. The reason I didn't pick it up was one, because I just bought Ratchet and Clank and bought Uncharted Collection. Um, but two, like Dying Light 1's fully playable in VR, and I haven't even tried that one yet. So I'm thinking if we're going to do two, we would probably want to do one first.
I agree.
And
And it's
um,
amazing in VR, Wes, even though can be a little bit weird at parts, but it's really good. So
so yeah, so I was thinking, maybe we do Dying Light 1, and if two's on sale for 26 now, I'll probably be able to get it for 20 in 2 or 3 months. You know what I mean? So
and if you pick
um,
up Dying Light 1, which I'm sure you could do on a sale cheap, Mash and I both own it as well, and it is co-op for up to 3 people.
oh,
So we could play.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yes,
Hmm.
that totally makes that. And same thing with Dying Light 2, it's co-op as well. So
Yeah. So I think I'm in, Roots. I think I like killing zombies.
I think yeah, it's amazing. I think you'll like it. And Dying Light it's different. To me, it's one of the best zombie games um, that I've ever played and of that nature. Just so fast paced and going out at night and just the missions, and it's just done very well.
Yeah, and I've been particularly excited for two because I've heard a lot about the world and how it kind of works in Dying Light 2, and how your decisions that you make kind of the game adapts to it, and there are multiple paths and multiple ways to play it. A lot of what I love about The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is kind of true about Dying Light 2, but only on a much grander scale because it's a big budget AAA flat game. So, um, yeah, I think we'll be playing Dying Light 1 soon, but it's really just so that I can get through it and move on to Dying Light 2 because I'm really excited for that one.
Story's really good, Dying Light. I think you'll and the crafting, and this is a very deep game. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. But I think what you're describing for Diablo, Dying Light 2, sounds really cool.
Yeah, yeah, looking forward to it. Um, anyway, I'm looking forward. I'm almost as much forward to playing through this game again in VR as much as I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts next week. And I'm hoping that you find the time this week to really
Dig in.
play through
Oh man, I'm
dig into
already
it and play through
thinking
some
about it right
chapters.
now, and I got to get work in the morning, so I can't. But I really did like enjoy the. I think what did I stop? Something happened. I think I might have had something happened that stopped me, but I can't remember now. Or I would have kept going. But
Your brother died.
yeah, that was maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure if this like did this happen before or after, or like I'm a little bit
That's the
hazy,
thing.
right? Because it keeps bouncing
Who
around time
knows?
wise. I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on, but I do know that I watched him fall, and I'm like, oh my god! And
He
then
got
that.
shot. He got shot
Oh,
and then
that's
he
right.
fell.
And then the rich man was just like, come on, let's go. He's dead. And I was like, no, that's my brother. And then I thought, well, fuck, man, I got to get out of here. This is the
Would
thing.
you go?
I,
Would you go, or would you jump down after your shot brother?
this is the thing. What are you jumping to? Because you're running from 100 military. It's a
Yeah.
prison. Like, there's not, like, because I thought about that. I'm like, if he doesn't go, I don't think he makes it out. You know what I mean? Like that's so it's kind of like I don't. It's a very tough question. He's alive. You know he's. Come on, Sam. You can't take Sam down that way.
Um,
Definitely, definitely crazy
you're
though.
so gonna get into this. You're so gonna get into this because those family ties and the emotional parts of this game. You're only just starting to scratch the surface of it, and if you think the scale and scope of these early levels is something, just wait. Just wait until you start traveling the world and chasing down some of these clues.
Well, that's it.
Um,
This is a treasure hunt type of game, right? In a sense, I mean that's what it's all
it's
about.
like
And
it's like an Indiana Jones style adventure, is what
yeah,
it is.
yeah, that's super cool. Although
Yeah,
my
it's great.
my sidekick, or I guess I would be the sidekick. My brother's gone, and now I feel alone. But I got to find out what happened. You know, where's he at? Is he still alive? So I felt bad for the guard that the main guard in the prison, right? He was going to get his cut. Nah, it never works out that way.
Yeah, that's what happens when you try to renegotiate like that, man.
Yeah,
You get a knife in the back.
yeah. You deserve
Um,
it.
that's right. Scott, the PSVR game kept for life. Never leave a downed man behind. You know who loves it when a man goes down to the behind, Roots?
My
Yes,
man!
he does. Very privy to it. Yeah. So I think this is definitely a game worthy of playing again, going through and talking about it. I think Mash will be here hopefully next time, and because I'm sure he has a lot to say about this game, right, in VR.
Yeah, I would be streaming this if I had confidence that it would run smoothly. There's a mode in the Lucross mod, right? Like if I want to stream this, I can enable it and
Yeah,
capture
it's
it.
enable OBS, absolutely. So
Yeah, so we might try it, and if we're gonna be playing it anyway, we might be able to.
I think it'd be
You
really
know,
good stream.
it runs as well enough for me to play on my G2. So if I needed to, I guess I could scale it back a little bit and capture it and stream it. So maybe we'll do that.
It'd be amazing if they had it like an actual middle of the line DisplayPort headset that actually was not garbage, like the Rift S.
Yeah.
I mean, Rift S is okay, but man, like I don't know
It
what's going
just
on with it.
crashes. If it would just run and not crash, I would be fine with it. It's
Yeah,
not really the quality of the experience that
it's
puts
just
me
when it
off.
runs,
It's
it's
right.
it does gets the job done, but
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be a step up for Scion. I remember moving from my CV1 into that Rift S, and I was blown away.
can you imagine going from CV1 to uh, G2 or even Quest Pro or something?
It's a different world. It's a different thing, right?
It's a different world, absolutely. Just going from Fresnel's to uh, the pancake is a different world. I didn't realize until I like started really paying attention that not having any blurring on the edges is actually a big deal. You don't notice it,
Yeah.
but
I
great.
notice it. I fucking hate that shit. The glare's the worst. I hate that so much.
I
So
just feel like
not it's not that bad anymore, but it's gone with the pancake lenses, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah. And I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the pancake lenses on the Quest 3 outside of them looking better, obviously a better higher resolution, but like not having the goggles, not having it pressed on my face, I'm getting really starting to like the way that the screen just or the things just hang in front of your face, right? You don't have anything
Mhm.
like it's just open. This feels good. So
That's the way PSVR sits on your face too. Although the difference is that PSVR has that big, accordion shroud that goes all the way to your face, but the way it hangs on your head is similar. It just
right.
hangs the visor out in front of your face.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like something's like on there, right? So
Yeah, yeah, that's why I hate the Quest too, man. Is because it's just doesn't matter how you wear it or what strap you have on there. It's sitting on your face.
I got there's so much to unpack there. if I really wanted to. Genesee Qua says, just got into PCVR mods. I need more must plays. This is one. This is one right here,
Yeah,
Jenna. Uncharted.
easy, easy to do. Tag me up in the Discord.
It's amazing.
We'll set you up. It's
Yeah.
easy to do, and it's awesome. You can pick this up. I picked this up, Ruuts, this collection, for like $25.
That's not bad considering it's, just came out, right? Well, I guess it's been a while, but a bit, right?
So we're gonna have our hands full this week playing this. We're gonna play some VR Skater tomorrow, and Sunday we're gonna give our impressions on VR Skater, and we're also going to
Game of the month.
do Game of the Month. So we'll probably have to play some stuff for that too, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know when I'm going to find time between Uncharted right here. This is
Yeah, I
it.
know it's gonna be tough, right? Although I have good news and I have bad news, and it's the same news.
Hmm.
So the bad news is that Battle Boast hasn't sent our key yet. The good news is that Battle Bows has not sent our key yet, so so we don't have to play it. We were going to do it just to be complete, and
Yeah.
might say that we played all the games that came out, but that one we're just going to have to assume that it is what we think it is.
Yeah, I have to assume it's not going to make the end of the year game discussion for game of the year. Although, I don't know, man. I didn't think that people would have picked What the Bat for game of the year either. So that was right out of left field for me. So.
Yeah. So we're going to do VR Skater. I will say that, have you played any of the VR Skater yet, Ruuts?
I have not, actually. I didn't get a chance to get into it because I was messing with these ones so much.
That game, I'm super impressed with it, first of all. I did not think that it would be very good. I thought it would be boring, and it's not boring. Have you ever did you ever really like skateboard in real life back in the day?
I had a skateboard because everybody did, right? And I'd like go down a hill on my stomach and no, really not skateboarding, but I know I played the games. I like to pretend I was a skateboarder.
This game does a good job of replicating what it feels like to skateboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that the only complaint that people had about it from the PC was, that they wanted more, right? That it was length. Because I don't know if it's just a straight port or not, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it on Sunday, but those people should be quite happy. Anyway, it's like real life skateboarding, and it's as difficult almost as real life skateboarding. That's what I was kind of getting at is you're gonna want to put some time into it because it's friggin' hard, man. It is not easy to pull off these tricks. It's fun. It's like skateboarding with your hands. Like what you would be doing in real life to do the tricks with your feet, you're doing similar movements with your hands, and it feels right. It doesn't feel like something contrived. It feels they did a very good job. You can tell that the people that developed this game knew what they were talking about, and well, I say people, it's a dude, the guy that made that game. Obviously has skateboarded at some point in his life. But it's something that takes practice. And I can already tell you that you're not going to be an expert by the time we get back here on Sunday.
You're going to bet on, I guarantee I'm not going to be an expert, but I'm going to try, Wes. Try my hardest. I promise.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get some real Tony Hawk vibes from it. I know I can say that for certain. If you like that sort of game, then you're going to dig this. Although you're the type of person who doesn't really care for tutorials, and this is very heavy tutorial wise. Like there are tutorials, like there's a lot of tutorials because there's a lot of different types of tricks, and it doesn't like run you through a tutorial campaign. Like you have flips, so you do the flips tutorial, and then you have spins, so you do the spins tutorial, and there's so many different tricks you can do. It kind of lets you build your arsenal up at your own speed. But it's a lot of like short tutorials that you have to go into to learn it. And then when you learn a new trick, you can go out on the course and kind of put it into practice and integrate it into your run. But the levels are cool. The way it feels is cool. And we're going to talk more about that on Sunday. And so, those of you who are interested in that, make sure if you haven't already that you have subscribed and ring the bell because that's less than 2 days away, Roots.
Yeah. Game of the month and Skate VR.
Game of the month.
And
Yep.
Masher's supposed to be there. So it's going to be a
Yeah.
complete
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Eric's supposed to be on Sunday. He said definitely. So that means he probably will.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, he's got so much going on. If he's not, I understand why. So,
Right. Anyway, I think that's our show, Roots. We could go on about Uncharted, but I think we'll save it. We'll save it for this Friday. And August is not going to be July. I don't know if you've been paying attention, Roots, but not only have we already got the room last week, VR Skater this week, but Firewall's coming this month. Um, Crossfire Sierra Squad's coming this month. Phasmophobia is coming to PlayStation VR this month. Green Hell is heavily rumored to be coming to PlayStation VR this month. It's going to be a
a banger.
a month jam packed, especially for PSVR gamers. This is going to be quite the month. So this will probably be our last week of casual gaming before the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I agree. I figured out what happened to John Savino. He said that got VR Skater, it's cool, but too hard for me. I'm already crappy at video games. This makes me feel even worse. That was the start right there.
It's not easy.
And
It's
now,
not easy.
and now you, that's why you're starting to not hate, like video games anymore. It's because of VR Skater. I blame it all on that game.
It's all that game's fault.
It's all that game's fault. But
Go play Uncharted, John Savino. If you have
yes,
PC, go play Uncharted. Come
yeah,
back Friday and
yeah,
we'll talk about it.
PCVR, absolutely.
Ray Pope wants to know if we have any updates on when Firmament drops. I do not know, Ray, when it's coming to PlayStation VR 2. I do know that it's a very resource hungry game, and given the history of these Cyan games on PSVR and their history of dropping with them being less than optimized, I don't think that they're going to want to repeat those mistakes. So I don't know, but it could be a while before they're able to get that game dialed in for console. So
Yeah.
hopefully it comes this year, but no guarantees on that.
Yeah, there's no guarantees. As a matter of fact, I think the Remnant game, Remnant 2, that just came out for, of course, this is flat, but PlayStation 5, it's 30 frames. Unless you want a 1080p, then it's like 720 or something. So
Yeah, most of these big AAA games on console run well. They typically give you an option where you can run it in quality mode, which runs like ultra high graphical detail at 30 frames, or you can run it in performance mode, which dials some of that detail back and then lets you run it at 60. I always opt for the more detail at the lower frame rate, but everyone's different.
yeah, I can't play games at 30 frames anymore. It just looks really slow. I mean, I guess I have like Breath of the Wild, not Breath of the Wild, but the newer one. So you have no choice.
Right.
It's just weird. It just feels weird, especially after playing games at 120 frames. Most games I play are at 120 now. So I'll try
Right.
60 and it's like or 30. But yeah, I mean that's the thing is, I guess that game is Unreal Engine 5 and it's got so much detail. It's crazy.
John Savino says, I don't have a PC, but hopefully Vertigo 2 on PlayStation VR will pull me back in. Well, that'll do it. That should do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely an amazing game for sure. And we all go through stages too. Maybe this is just a lull for video games, and you spend time doing something else and come back when you're refreshed, right? I've had many times where I go through stages like that. So,
This too shall pass.
yeah.
You're gonna get a PS5 Pro when it comes out next year, Roots. You'll be able to play your 30 frame games at 60 frames on that thing.
That's what they say, you know. But as we just like we said with the headsets, we were told that the PlayStation 5 would play all the games at 60, you know, but the games become so intense and so much packed in there. Maybe the Pro will have the same problem because the games will step it up. But I can't imagine not. If anything, just to want to be able to push the VR games with more power, right? Same reason why you want a new video card. So
PS4 Pro was a game changer for PSVR. So I imagine PS5 Pro will be the same thing over again.
plus, I've had this thing for a long time. I'm not like a lot of people that just got it. Like, fuck, man, I just got it. Now I got to replace it. I've had it well over a year and a half, or whatever it's been. So,
yeah, it's got me thinking maybe I should put one up for sale. I've got two of them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're a ways away, but definitely wouldn't be a bad idea at some point.
Little
right?
ways. We're a year. It's a year. It's a year away. So, yeah, we'll see. We shall see. Anyways, that is our show, friends. I want to thank everyone who stayed up late to hang out with us tonight. Be sure that you're subscribed if you haven't already. We're going to be back in less than 2 days talking about Game of the Month, talking about VR Skater, and God knows what else we'll be talking about on Sunday. We will be back in 7 days to pick this conversation back up and see what Ruuts thought about Uncharted 4. We're going to keep playing it throughout the week. And I don't know what else we're going to play this week, Ruuts. I'm sure there's something. But I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do. This is probably our last week of true freedom. So I'm sure whatever it is will be good. I don't know. I mean, if we're going to do Uncharted 4, maybe it might be a better idea just to kind of pick a palate cleanser to go with it instead of trying to play something else that's
that way
super deep, you know. Maybe do a multiplayer game or something.
Yeah, that's true. Well, what's good about that type of stuff is something always presents itself. It just is like the perfect fit, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm sure that will be the case. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. If you want to do a little something extra and help us, you know, beef up our war chest so that we can buy more AAA games to mod into VR, you can do so by supporting us on Patreon, where for as little as $3 per month, you can get access to our weekly show notes, insider updates, exclusive content, all for less than $1 per week. It's getting late, Roots. I'm tripping over my
yeah, it's almost
words.
3 a.m. for you.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you need help with modding these games into VR or help with anything or just want to hang out and talk, you can catch us on Discord. There's an invitation in the description down below. We're there 24/7, 365, hanging out, talking about games, talking about life, watching motorcycles crash into the wall. Roots, did you see that one?
I didn't see that one. I heard. I saw people talking about it. Man, there's some crazy drivers out in California, right?
True that. They're cutting trees down, Roots, so that people can't get away. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy. That's very crazy.
Anyway, we'll see you all next time, friends. Thanks again. And for Roots, I'm Wes. Have a good night.
Stay easy.